Hey, welcome to How to Be a Sound Engineer here on YouTube. My name is Sean. If you watch few of my previous videos, you can see some of the stuff I've already talked about: compression, EQing, how to use Sonar in general. Some of my older videos, um, and I'll actually probably do another how to use Sonar because Sonar's changed um, a little bit since my previous video on the subject. But we're going to be using Sonar Cakewalk's DAW. Um, I have the highest end, the professional or pro or whatever it's called, or platinum, I think it is actually. So Sonar Platinum. Um, and today we're going to talk about how to insert VST plugins as well as using other pieces of software inside of Sonar. I'm going to give a demonstration using the Maschine software. Uh, you can look up of all different kinds of things as far as their hardware goes. They have keyboards, they have drum pads. I have a Maschine Micro. I choose that because of space constraints that I have, because I also want to have a keyboard right in front of me as well, so I can go back and forth between the two. So the Maschine Micro works great for me. I may end up stepping up to the newer one soon. I'm kind of digging some of the expression controls and other things that has built in. So, but right now I'm using Maschine Micro. This demonstration will be the same whether which version of the Maschine that you have, or any actual VST plugin that's work basically the same. But first, we're going to. I have Sonar open right now, as you can see. The main screen is my track view. The small screen just above me is my mixer view. I have two screens on my system. Well, actually, I have five screens on my system, 4 to 5, depending on what I'm doing. But I prefer to have at least two screens for my working environment, just because I prefer to have a quicker workflow, and I don't have to flip between pages or anything else. And then I have an auxiliary screen off to my right, which you can't really, it's just off screen here, which has various other things going on. I have my um, sound card routing over there. I use a Focusrite 18i20, so I can get all my sound card in and out routing through there as my main interface. I do also have a Behringer X32 mixer. I don't use it as my interface though. I use it for tracking. I use it for sometimes I'll bounce out tracks and I'll route things through it. Maybe just send it to some other piece of hardware or use an effect in there. Um, and I also use it for a DAW controller as well. So, anyway, back to the point. I just want to describe kind of my workflow. But back to the point. We're going to insert a plug-in here. So I'm in Sonar right now. Um, this is my main track view. Right here, I have all my like plugins and stuff. I can minimize that, bring it in and out. And over here, I have my Pro channel. Basically, every time I select a different channel, this information, whatever I change on those channels, it'll give me a quick like little mixer channel strip on that channel, as well as I can pull over to track view and have access to the fader in conjunction with the master fader. Some people find that super useful. And then like clip information you may have selected. Um, I'm gonna minimize this. I don't need it. Just so you can kind of see what's going on. I want to go over to my plugins section here. Up here you can see your managed plugins. And if you want, I could do a video in the future on this. Just let me know. Uh, right now I have a plugin layout that I've kind of selected, which is all these. This is for all your audio effects. Um, Over here you have MIDI effects, which I don't really use too much, not at least not in here. Um, then over instruments, this is where all your VSTIs are, your VST instruments. Um, so like your VST3s, VST2s, and DirectX ones that come with Sonar. Um, we're gonna use machine, and let me find it here. There it is, machine 2. So I can just double click on this, and it's got to pull up this insert soft synth option. Basically, I just leave everything as is. Simple instrument track, enable MIDI output, and leave everything else okay, and then I just push OK. So it's gonna, there you go, processes. Now I got track 25 down here. It pops up a new instrument track, and immediately my Maschine micro just turned on. Down below, you can't see it, but it came on. So now what I like to do is I drag it up to the top, just especially if I'm starting a session. I want it to be right there. Then you can open this up by double clicking this icon here, and as you see on this view, which I'll move it over to this side to make it so you can see it better. This is the Maschine software. You can open this up as a standalone and run it by itself, which sometimes I do. It just depends on my mood, I suppose. Especially, but if I've been working on something and I want to throw some Maschine stuff in, I may just open it up in here. Quick thing, like, I don't like it being this small. So what I do is I go over to, where is it, View, I change it to large. And now I can see the whole thing. Medium might work actually pretty well for this as well. Let's view. It's not terrible. What sucks about it is why I go to large is because you can't scale it in the traditional sense of grabbing the plugin and moving it. It's kind of weird. But that's the way it works. So view, and I go back to large here. There we go. So now I can see all 16 sounds instead of scrolling up and down. I see what I'm doing. So now if I go into a kit here, and we're just going to load up something random. Let's take this 808 kit. So we load up the kit. It already has pre-patterns built in. If we want to make a new one, we can just select this here. You have all these controls. All the controls on the Maschine still work in the same fashion if you wanted to create a new pattern with your Maschine. And I'll do that so you can kind of see, though you won't be able to see it. It's off camera, but if I wanted to add a new pattern, as you can see, pattern 3 just popped up there because I created it right on the Maschine micro pad. But you can also do it with your mouse, either way. And then I can go in there and I can drum out whatever patterns I want. Just for sake of argument, I made this cool pattern. Cool. I didn't really make it, but you can see what it's about. And then I can just hit play or space bar. And you see it's playing this pattern at whatever tempo. So you can't change the tempo on here. Note that. I'll move this back out of the way for a second. Just change the tempo on here to whatever you want. It's 92, or you can type it into. But as you notice, it just changed the tempo right here. So now when I play it, it's playing basically these two programs are synced together as far as the tempo. It'll play everything. As you see, it's playing through inside the Maschine software. It's scrubbing down the timeline right here. So you can program in your whole sequence in this. Say we went and wanted another one of those and another one. So we got that, right? And then we want, after bar 6, for example, we want to change the pattern to this one. It's kind of a weird transition, but now that it'll play through all that. Oops. So now you can see it'll play through the whole thing, and while it's doing that, it's scrubbing through the whole timeline. So if we start it over, it'll start from the beginning. Now we're like, okay, cool. Let's say you add another instrument. Let's go down here and we'll add some like bowed strings or something. Oops. Preferences. Oh, I don't actually have my MIDI keyboard set up for Sonar yet. Just changed keyboards, or changed my interface, I should say, for it. So I haven't set that up. Let's see if I can do that. Just to show you. Preferences, devices. That should do it. Apply, close. There we go. Now I can play the keyboard. I just didn't have it programmed in. So now you can see it's playing whatever that instrument is here. This some sort of bowed string. We're gonna change that to it shows us what we're doing. Now I can play, and I can record in a section there, as you see that popped up there. I don't want to record there though. One thing to note about this software, which is interesting, is you have to work in scenes basically. So each scene, like when you go to arm a track and record it, that pattern's stuck in that scene. Though I can drag the scene out longer, but that's just the way it works. Just so you know. As you notice, this pattern duplicates itself across these scenes. So scenes is a great way to do like choruses, verses, things of that nature. You can break them up into sections. It depends on your workflow. That's a whole nother thing we're not really going to get into today. But I can record this in just like a regular MIDI track that I could on Sonar, but instead it'll be tracking inside this. So let's see if I figure out something I want to play here. See if we can get this down. It'll probably be off. It'll probably suck. But I really haven't thought out anything. This is just kind of off the top of my head. So let's try it. First we gotta set that up to record inside Sonar, or not inside Sonar, inside Maschine. Because right now we're working inside a program inside of a program. Just so you know, if you were to do this a different VST, this functions kind of like it's literally like a program inside of a program. So, and I'm going to show you this real quick because I want to get into another aspect of exporting this back into Sonar, bringing it so you're not stuck with these loops, so you have more control, more editing. And this is kind of what I do: is I may make small parts in Maschine, then I either export them or I track them back out. So let's make a part real quick. All right, let's see if we can get something here. I want this to start at the beginning. So just like any MIDI editing software, you can grab stuff and just move it along. So we're going to drag it back to the beginning here. And I'm just going to type these in here just for, you can also like I'm doing now, is I'm just drawing in stuff, which is not a bad way to go if you don't have a keyboard or don't know how to play a keyboard. So that way you can kind of do the same thing. Basically, I'm going to go with the same kind of pattern here. Oops, draw it down. So obviously it looks a little robotic here. So you may want to play it again or tweak it some more, but just kind of giving you a rough idea how this works. So now play it. Definitely not perfect. But let's just say we like that, alright? Not great, but hey, whatever. So we're at a point where we're like, okay, if we play this, scrub it across. Now, how do we turn this into audio? Well, we can do a couple of things. We can export this audio. We can go up to File, and Export Audio. We can actually choose where we want it to go. And let's add a demo track. There we go. Demo. I'll put it in there. Those were options. We can change different things, how we export it in here. Normalize stuff, all that stuff. We can go to master output, which would give us basically one track of everything. We don't want that. We want sound outputs. This is for tracking purposes. We're in Sonar. We might as well track everything separately. Like, there's no point to send it out one. Now, if you go into each of these kits, you can export. You can pick and choose which ones you want to export. So, what's a good idea, like I find a good idea, is before you can even come in here, go to each one. Like, okay, now I know which one, like, either take note of it, export it, or you can export them all and then just delete. That's probably the easiest way or quickest way. But if you don't want a ton of files, like blank files, because what it's going to do is going to spit out basically tracks for this kick 808, the snare 801, all that stuff is going to kick out all these blank tracks along with the ones that have sound on them. So you'll have to delete them, or you just don't export them at all. You can go in and take off the kick 8, that one, and take off that one. So you can pick and choose which ones you want. We're just going to leave them all on for the time being. And then we will export it. And it spits out the tracks. It doesn't come over here to my other screen, which you guys can't see, but I'm just going to drag in all these tracks. So I can close this, minimize that. Give me 1 second here. Demo. So now I have all these sounds. I can just grab them, drag them in. I'm starting on track 2. And it brings them all in to whatever we had set up. So obviously there's extra space in here because in the project there was more things going on. We don't need that stuff. So we can just we can highlight all this stuff, highlight it all, cut this back to there, to 5. Then we can go through and delete the tracks we don't need. I'm not going to do all that right now, but just to show you, just delete the tracks you don't need. And then I suggest going through, and it gives you the name on the clip, so you can just rename it here. You could type in snare 1, whatever you want to call them. I highly suggest also color coding based on things, and you can do that over here. Change it to whatever color you need. Color code and name your things so your tracks are more organized. That's the first way. So now when we go back and play it, thing to take note of though is you want to go back into this channel 1 here, and you want to mute this because watch how. So first I mute it. I play it back. It's going to play back normally. Just like we had before. If I unmute it, watch what happens. It's twice as loud. Well, that's because it's playing in the machine. It's playing through the machine as well as your exported tracks. So it would play all that. Well, we don't need to mix all that. Like, we don't need to mix in this stuff. Sometimes you don't necessarily want to dump out the tracks or export the tracks out and bring them in until you know what you want. Because sometimes you may be making adjustments in here. I mean, you could always go back, either way. Everybody does it a little differently. Another way to do it is to send out the audio of each of those tracks, and send it out a specific output on your interface, and then track it through whatever hardware you're going to track it through. Say you wanted to run it through some compressors, or you wanted to run it through a reverb or whatever. You would do that one track at a time. I haven't found a way to multi-track out Maschine software. I've played around with it for a long time, and it seems really stupid that you can't really do it. I haven't figured it out. So if you do know, comment below, or maybe even link a video. It would be cool to see, because I don't know. I spent weeks messing around with every kind of setting I could think of and trying to send stuff out. Like, it gives me these options here in the mixing section of Maschine, but it doesn't go out those things. It does not come out, and I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. It seems like it could. It seems like the software is there, but something doesn't seem compatible or something. I'm not totally sure what's going on. So if I've wanted to track stuff out, I track it out one track at a time. And then you just arm another track to record it back in like you would a regular audio. Like you can see it's tracked out to, it's popping up here. So if I record it, it would record like anything else. So basically you would do the same thing. You'd select whatever input you're going to come in off of. And it's funny, it gives you these inputs, but I even tried playing with that stuff and I couldn't get it to work right. So I'm not sure what the problem is. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know. So I just tracked out one at a time, which is fine, especially if you're going to do a lot of processing. I kind of find it better to track out one at a time anyway, because if I am applying external outboard gear effects, it is definitely like I already know what it generally sounds like together, so I don't need to I don't need to track it all at the same time. It would be quicker for sure, but if I'm going to be doing a bunch of effects and different processing outside, I may want to actually hear the individual tracks. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to be able to figure those out and then just record them all simultaneously. That would save a lot of time for sure. But if you use a combination of the exporting technique and tracking technique for specific tracks, specific sounds, for specific instrumentation or anything like that, that's kind of what I do, is kind of a mix between the two depending on what I want to do. So I hope this helped. And again, I can show you one more, just like any other, and this is just using Maschine, but you can pop in any other VST. Let's try to get in. I haven't used this in years. Let's see if it even works. Beta version. Cool. Let's try. True Piano Cakewalk. That should work, right? So dropped it down here again. I go up here, open it up. Turn that on. And as you can see, same thing. This time though, if I record, it should give me a MIDI track here. So if I was to record something, arm this track, and I don't even know if there's any. I don't really use this, so there's presets. So whatever that was, now recorded in MIDI data for you. So when you play it back, it's going to give you that MIDI data. And then if you wanted to record in the audio from it, you would go to another track, and your input would come in from that. So stereo, arm the track, record. Now you've recorded audio data from this. It's always a good idea to leave yourself some space there because it looks like the timing is off on that. So, and whenever you're recording, sometimes there's little glitches I've noticed, and this goes, and there's like a delay. It's not perfectly in sync when MIDI comes into audio. So keep that in mind. A lot of times what people will do is, if they're having a serious issue with that, they'll let it play through a few bars to where it syncs itself back up where it should be. Then at that point, they'll just cut a good section that's timed and move it over. That's a pretty commonplace that I've found. Anyway, hopefully these tips have helped. I kind of rambled a little bit, and I apologize. But just want to kind of show you how to insert VST instruments and have applications running inside applications. Most programs like Maschine, I believe you can do it with Fruity Loops, you can do it with Reason, all those things, they'll run inside of Sonar pretty easily. So, and also there's a thing called Rewire, which works very similar. So it's a way to kind of, if an application, some applications don't have direct VSTIs that link them. It goes through a third party kind of route, basically through a system called Rewire, and that's a whole nother topic. But basically, it functions the same way. So that's how you can insert VSTIs and some tricks on how to kind of do stuff and how to track it through, so you're not stuck with just the MIDI data. All right, I hope that helped. If you like this, go ahead and please subscribe. I also have live studio sessions up on Twitch. The link for that is in the description box below. So whenever we do a studio session, somebody comes over, records, or if I'm recording, making music, I'll usually 99.9% of the time stream those sessions live right on Twitch, and then I'll upload those Twitch streams to YouTube here a week after those streams come out. So that way you can still see them here on YouTube. You don't have to go over there, but it's really cool. You can tune in live to those Twitch streams. You can comment, and I will do my best to interact with you while we're streaming, if possible. Obviously, it depends on if there's clients and what's going on, but I'll do my best to interact with you there as well as on here. So go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and tell me what else you want. What else kind of videos you want to see? Any how-tos? I apologize about the rambling. I just try to go off the cuff sometimes. So anyway, have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.